What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? Doing well myself. Oh, sorry. Oh. Sorry, exhausted. We got a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Trump. Give a little update on his trial yesterday. Oh, sorry. We're just going to look at a small update with his trial. And then the threat that Judge Merchant levied against President Trump. We're going to get into some of the pro-Palestinian protests that blocked several bridges. And then we're going to look at the Congress aid that's moving through the House moving through the House for various different so it's moving through the House for Ukraine and Israel. So we'll look at that. And then the Supreme Court has permitted Idaho to continue enforcing a ban on gender-affirming care for minors. And then we'll watch the sentencing of the Rust armorer, Hannah Gutierrez. And yeah, we might have some other stuff if we have enough time. I don't know if we will, but if we do, we'll give it a look-see. Before I get into the show, a little housekeeping. Make sure you follow me on X at officialwghost. Best way to find out when I go live, etc. And then, of course, wherever you're watching me, come to Rumble and follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghost. Or, yeah. And then youtube.com/at with Ghost. And then, of course, twitch.tv/at officialwghost. Or, sorry, at official with Ghost. My bad. And then let's see what else. And then my gaming channel, rumble.com/gamingwithghost there as well. I think that's everything. And then I am live on X as well. So if you follow me on X, you can watch me there as well. But definitely, wherever you're watching me, go to Rumble and check me out on Rumble. All right, so let's get into it. And of course, I know it's already started, so there's probably some more update. But let's. So this was yesterday. There was 96 prospective jurors that were brought in and sworn in. 50 were excused immediately when they said they could not be fair and impartial. 9 were excused after raising their hand when asked whether they could not serve for any other reason. Let's see. 18 were brought into the jury box. 10 were questioned. 1 was dismissed after she said she had firmly held beliefs about Trump and another person, which shows for the jury box. Another juror was his child's getting married, so he was excused. Trump, okay, so this is getting into a little later, but Merchant basically said you have to be here or you'll get arrested. Trump saying, hey, you won't let me go to my son's graduation in May. And they're like, oh, well, the judge has not yet ruled it, request to be excused from court so he can attend Barron Trump's high school graduation. But he also didn't allow Trump, as it says right here, next week's Supreme Court hearing. I believe this is on his immunity case. So, I mean, come on. You really think he's going to emerge to like, well, you can't go to a very important SCOTUS hearing, but you can go to your son's graduation. I don't think it's going to happen. And then they're talking about, oh, Trump appeared to fall asleep during some moments of the trial. I wouldn't blame him even if he did, because the trials are really fucking boring. I've sat through and watched a couple of them. Oh. So they're saying in one moment his jaw fell or kept falling onto his chest, and he didn't appear to be paying attention to a note his lawyer passed him. He appeared to be asleep repeatedly. Repeatedly, his head would fall down. Probably bored out of his fucking mind. Like, even if he did fall asleep, I don't really give two shits. Like, it's court, it's closed, no one can really see him, and all we're going off of is what a CNN reporter is saying, and we know how honest CNN normally is. So, can you believe him? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but yeah. But again, if you watched any trial whatsoever, you could kind of give a guy a break, because in the courtroom you really can't do anything. You got to sit there and you got nothing to at all. So him falling asleep wouldn't be a big surprise. Ugh. They tried to Trump wanted to go to the Supreme Court that's meeting next week. Again, I think that's his immunity hearing. Yeah. Like, oh, he has no obligation to defend it. Well, he wants to be there, so he's like, you're a criminal defendant. He's required to be here. Like, again, I think a majority of the time these the reason they require defendants to be in court is due to a flight risk concern, and that if they're here every day, we can see them, and it'll be a lot quicker in case they decide to flee the country or something. But Trump isn't the typical defendant. He's running a campaign. He's got other things to do. It's far more important than just sitting around and whacking off at a trial. God damn it. Hold on. There you go. Sorry. But yeah, so I think the majority of the time it's defends our flight risk. They may leave or the country while during the trial, and then so that's why they generally will have defendants be required to show up at court. But merchant can easily waive that requirement as long and it appears that Todd Blanche, they basically kind of put that forth, that motion. He could waive it. So, in my opinion, this is an election interference, because now he's forced to sit in a trial. You think he's okay? He's not going to let him go to the Supreme Court, the higher court, about his immunity claim. You think the judge going to let him go to do a rally, to do his campaigning? Highly, very much doubt it. Now, I could be wrong. And later on, he's like, "Look, I'd like to do this this rally because I'm running for president." And Merchant might be like, "Yeah, it's fine," for all we know. But I highly doubt it. And in my view, this is more of an election interference. And I'd make the same argument. Guess what? If it was Biden here in the hot seat, okay? So everyone who keeps calling me a Trump cultist, and I think no, I think that there's people that are atypical, and the rules don't really apply to them. Not meaning that they can't be they're above the law or anything, but it means like they're the typical rules don't really work for them, because again, Trump isn't really a flight risk. He's running for office for president, so it's not like you're going to leave the country to avoid prosecution. So I think it's wholly unnecessary to have him there for 6 weeks, which I bet is fairly atypical when dealing with these type of cases, I highly doubt, for the most part, most of the time, these cases take 6 weeks or so. I'm willing to bet they take maybe a week or two at most. Like if this was a regular case, not Trump, but a regular case, I'm willing to bet that this would take, a week or two. It wouldn't take 6 weeks. Let's see. Rally. Okay. So this is just bunch of irrelevant crap. Now I'm gonna try and update it. God damn it. Stop there. Sorry. Okay, so there's no updates so far that I can see, really, at least from CNN. So we'll move on from here. All right, now I kind of already went over this, but we'll see if there's anything to note here. So this was Judge Martin's threat against President Trump. Threatens President Trump with arrest if he isn't in court every single day of the trial. If you do not show up, there will be an arrest, Merchant told Trump. Again, wholly unnecessary. During the first day of Manhattan's DA Alvin Bragg's Docs case trial, Judge Juan Merchant said that if Donald Trump did not appear in court each day, the trial is in session, he would be arrested. If you do not show up, there will be an arrest. Merchant told Trump Jessica Rodriguez, VP of Editorial and Booking, first reported news from his X account. Forbes reported that Merchant warned Trump if he skipped the trial without a reason, he would be arrested. Trump's attorneys told the court that Trump wants to be present at everything, including side conferences during jury selections, according to ABC News. Merchant said that this would create a logistical issue, such as the presence of the Secret Service agent, but said he would do his best to accommodate. Merchant directed a serious question to Trump, directly asking whether he understood that his failure to attend the trial and or appearing for sentencing could result in penalties. After each question, Trump responded, "Yes, or I do." During the trial, first day on Monday morning, Judge... I've already went over this. Stop that, All right. So yeah, that's yeah. Again, I think it's a bit of election interference because again, Trump's not a typical defendant. There's no risk of him fleeing the country. Okay. There's no risk of him country. I mean, he's not flight risk or anything. Like I said, he's got to go campaign. It's getting down. He's going to be having to sit into a court for 6 weeks. Dumb. I don't think it's necessary for him to be there the entire 6 weeks. Why? To show his pretty face to the judge. I don't think it's interference. Sorry, we're spying something on Twitter. Yeah, like I keep saying, I don't think it's necessary for Trump to be there every second of every day in the trial. I understand why it's generally the practice. Yeah, that is what it is. It's getting warm in here. All right. Well, yeah. So we'll see the updates. I didn't realize next week was Trump's immunity trial, so we'll definitely be checking that out. Obviously, yeah, I don't think they do a live transcript. So I might have to do it the day after. But I think so. That's Thursday. So next Thursday. Yeah. So I don't think they do like. I don't think there's like a live like transcript going on and shit like that. I don't think. But next Friday, I'll definitely be looking at the listening to the audio and the arguments because that's going to be very interesting. I'd like to see the arguments. Listen to my favorite YouTube lawyer and see what he has to think about it, and I'll give my views to you. All right, moving on. We're done with this. We're done with Trump. All right, we're done with Trump. We did a little Trump update. Not much of an update. I'll probably do that the rest of the trial. I think that's how I'm going to start my day. Is check out the Trump stuff, see what's going on there. If anything interesting happens, like if they're still doing jury selection tomorrow, I probably won't talk about it. But I'll once the trial begins, I'll definitely hit the updates and give a look see. I think that's what I'll end up doing. All right, moving on. Let's go to some flag burning. And again, I always say this: the protesting in America is fucking dumb. Okay, because like I'm not gonna care. Like it's not real. Like okay, stop paying for Israel's shit. Okay, I could get behind that, but protesting free Palestine and stuff, it's not gonna matter because the U.S. Like you think upper government's gonna give two shits? They're gonna do what they want to do. And guess what? A lot of people that may be behind you with the whole free Palestine stuff probably are going to be against you now that you're burning the flag. Again, this was happening in New York. I guess they were chanting "Death to America," etc., etc. Death to America! Even though I live here and I'm enjoying the fact that I can do this without getting my shit fucked. If I have time, I got something on this whole Death to America thing. If we have time, we'll see. All right, so let's move on. Let's check out. So the pro-Palestinian people blocked a couple bridges. And, 'cause, 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 ' yesterday. Dozen of pro-Palestinian protesters rushed onto the Brooklyn Bridge Monday afternoon. Again, it's these types of protests that end up making people probably more against you than for you. You're going on a bridge where a lot of people travel to and from the city. Uh, they're probably heading home at 3:30 p.m. You're going to block a bridge, high traffic bridge, as far as I know, and you expect people to want to be on your side. They're going to be like, fuck these assholes, whatever they're there for, I'm against. Just because we're human beings and we're vindictive assholes. Again, these types of protests just end up, in my opinion, hurting you more than helping you. Especially when people, after a long day at work, people just want to go home and relax and not have to deal with any political BS. So you're going to stop them and prevent them from heading home. Well, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. But what can I say? Okay, what can I say? But yeah, it's the type of shit that irritates the shit. Just kidding. They can be seen moving through vehicular traffic on Monday on the bridge. Sorry, at around 3:30 p.m. NYPD officers on bicycles followed the group onto the bridge. They started making arrests once a few protesters started lighting what appeared to be traffic flares amid traffic. Okay, did they arrest all those people who were blocking the bridge as well? It's one of several similar protests nationwide. Earlier Monday, about a dozen protesters stopped westbound traffic on the Hamilton Fish Newburgh Beacon Bridge over the Hudson River. Demonstrators say the civil disobedience was to call for a free Palestine and to bring attention to what they say is an ongoing genocide perpetrated by Israel against the people of Gaza. I can agree with that. In fact, Israel continues to bomb hospitals, saying, "Oh, there's munitions there," is kind of bullshit. But guess what? Protesting and blocking a bridge is not the fucking way, dude. It's not the way. You're just gonna piss people off. New York State Police said the protesters on Hamilton Fish Bridge were taken into custody. Good, for once, good. Because guess what? This happened in what was it, Seattle, on what was it, I-5, and I don't think the police did anything. They just allowed them to continue to block traffic and not arrest anyone. I don't think they ended up arresting anyone. In Chicago, protesters blocked the entrance to O'Hare International Airport. Traffic and we're going to check out this one, at San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, which also shut down due to a protester blockade. The interstate in Oakland, I-280, was also shut down due to protester activity. The protests came a day after Iran launched a retaliatory strike on Israel that included hundreds of missiles and drones. It's the first time the state of Iran has directly attacked Israel. The attack was said to be a reprisal for Israeli strike on an Iranian consulate in Damascus on April 1st that killed several officers from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. There's been numerous pro-Palestinian protests in New York City and around the tri-state after Hamas fighters attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, which Israeli officials said left more than 1,200 dead and more than 200 hostages taken captive. That attack prompted Israel's war against Hamas. Israel has been widely criticized for how it has prosecuted that war, which has left more than 33,000 Palestinians dead, according to the Hamas-run Ministry of Health. Now, to be fair, numbers a little bit inflated because they're not counting. They're just counting all Palestinians. They're not separating Hamas versus and civilians. And I remember seeing it might be like 13,000 Hamas soldiers been killed, but that still leaves like 20,000 civilians killed. So I mean, it's still not a good look, but I'm just trying to be fair here. Yeah, it's it's not like Israel needs to stop if they really want to gain like the public favor. They need to stop the airstrikes and bombing cities and doing some more precision air strikes. For example, sending in special forces, whether it's or Mossad, and having them actually go and do some in-person attacks on higher leadership, um, and try to minimize the collateral damage as much as possible. But no, they just send strikes and then airstrikes and blow up shit, and then they're wondering, oh, why don't people like us? like, I don't. It's so dumb. Like, stop bombing innocent civilians, and you might be able to get a little bit of, all right, cool, I get it. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, look, I don't like the fact that people are dying, but I get that Israel, as at the very least, is attempting to minimize such any civilian damage. You could at least give people that ability, but it doesn't happen because all they do is just like that's all they do. All right, so we're gonna head over to uh, Oakland, the Golden Gate Bridge, and we'll watch some of the demonstrations going on. All right, this isn't very long; it's only 26 seconds, but there's no audio. Cool. So here we go. And then there's San Francisco. I think there's police officers. Yeah, they're not arresting these people. Arrest these fuckers. Arrest these fuckers. They're blocking traffic. Okay. That's so fucking annoying. Arrest them. These cops just stand around, do nothing. Like, throw up my ass. It's ridiculous. Arrest them. Okay. Like, look, I don't, like I said, I'm all for if you want to protest. It's a right we have. You can protest all you want, but I guess they were all arrested. Cool, but they weren't arrested soon enough. The second they get on the bridge and start blocking him, cuffs on them. Let's do it. Come on, like it's not that difficult, or maybe it is. I don't know. All right, 38 pro-Palestinian protesters arrested after shutdown of Golden Gate Bridge, I-880 in Oakland, CHP. Pro-Palestinian protesters shut down the Golden Gate Bridge, Golden Gate, and I-880 in Oakland for hours on Monday as part of a worldwide economic blockade in solidarity with Gaza. The California Highway Patrol said 38 people were arrested and faced a variety of charges, including unlawful assembly, refused to comply with the lawful order, unlawful stop on a bridge, resisting arrest, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. Wait, it looks like the only people. Oh, okay, no, never mind. Ignore that. The first protest on Monday happened on northbound I-880 in Oakland at 5th Avenue and was reported around 6:15 a.m. Protesters brought barrels filled with concrete onto the highway and chained themselves to the barrels. Law enforcement had to cut through the barrels before they could arrest the protesters. We have to use jackhammers and saws to break into those barrels. We did everything we could. You can imagine how complicated it is, according to California Highway Patrol Chief Don Goodbrand with CHP Golden Gate Division. Of 1:15 has been reopened. Not important. That's tweet. Southbound. Okay. Pro-Palestinian protesters blockaded the Golden Gate Bridge for hours, sending the Monday morning commute. Oh, this was in the morning. Oh, dude. Yeah, no. You like all those people are hated. All that movement, all you've done for that movement is people just hate it. Even Californians are like, I fucking hate this. Morning, come on. Morning commute into chaos. And California already has shitty traffic. So now you just made it even worse with a bunch of fucking protesters. Fuck you, assholes. Second protest in the Bay Area was reported around 7:55 a.m., causing traffic to back up for miles into Marin. Authorities worked to detain protesters who chained themselves through tubes to other protesters, people inside of cars in a sleeping dragon protest method. We were just trying to get home or work. Everyone's just mad, said Ong Zing. Yeah. Again, like if you were on the bridge with your sign and just like, honk for Palestine, you get a lot of, especially Californians, like support. They'd be like, oh, yeah, I totally support you. 100%. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Shout out to you. But then you go and block the traffic, cause them to get delayed from going to work or home, and they just hate your fucking guts. That's all that happens. All right. You just end up hating their guts, and they're like, all right, whatever you are for, I'm against. That's just what happens. That's vindictive human behavior. Monday's morning's commute turning into a Carmageddon nightmare after pro-Palestinian protesters blocked both lanes on the bridge. The demonstration closed the span for hours, leaving drivers like On Zing frustrated. Hours? Really? Cops get there and arrest these people. Just cut off their fucking shit and arrest them. Like, boom, you're out of here. All right, let's go. Oh, you don't want to? Well, guess what? Boom, I'm towing your goddamn car. You're arrested. Like, that's all. The fact that it takes hours for these demonstrations don't make sense to me, because generally cops show up fairly quickly. Okay, so it never makes any sense to me that it takes hours to shut down these demonstrations. It doesn't. It really doesn't, because they always end up showing, and they're like arrest them. They can't go anywhere. Their arms are fucking thing. Okay, like they can't go anywhere. Tase them if you really need to, and then cut off the stupid fucking tube thingies. We really, that's what we really need to start doing. Shut down. I'm not talking about all protests. I'm talking about these protests that end up blocking traffic and preventing people from going to work and getting home. Because it's false imprisonment, because they can't go anywhere. Like it this irritates the shit out of me. If we took an actual hard stance, and cops actually and I'm like I said, I'm just strictly talking about protests that one, like these random pop-up protests, all right? Because there are protests that end up, blocking traffic, but they go and get a permit. They, there's a lot of warning in advance, hopefully. And there's like some reroutes that people can do. Like there's stuff like that I'm cool. I hate still, but I'm cool with, because they've done it properly. So they've done it where like, hey, we're warning everyone there's going to be a protest at this time. All right. Make sure you plan accordingly, maybe move and go a different route, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it so I'm not talking about those first. I'm talking about these strict pop-up protests who go and block traffic. Arrest them instantly. Don't wait around, take forever. Arrest them instantly. I understand, hey, we got to cut them apart, and that may take maybe another hour. But the fact that it took hours, okay. By hours, I mean this is like more than 2. That's what comes to my mind when I hear hours. Because if it's less than 2, or if it's just 2 hours, I figured they'll just say it, close the span for 2 hours. But when it says hours, at least more than 5 hours, or 3 hours. I don't think it takes 3 hours to break something like this up. Anyways, moving on. Rant over. I think this is the only way people will listen, but at the same time, I wish there was a resolution around it. No. People would listen without it. All this does is piss people off. Because let's be honest, Ong Zing, you're not for pro-Palestine. You're not for these protests. Whatever the protesters are doing, you're not for it. Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. You were just held hostage and stuck in traffic for hours unnecessarily. You're not for them, okay? Traffic was backed up for miles on southbound 101 through Marin County. CHP were turning cars around at Alexandra Avenue in Sausalito. Frustration was over when a motorist was caught on cell phone confronting protesters on the bridge. Oh yeah, I saw that. Some folks say their health was at risk by the closure. Rem O'Donnell was late for surgery. I'm supposed to be at UCSF at 9:30. If I don't make it by 1 p.m., they will have to reschedule. I'm supposed to have colon surgery, said O'Donnell. Rachel McKim from Lake Larkspur was late for a medical procedure. I'm headed to the city for a stem cell replacement. They're frozen. I have to get there before they thaw. I feel frustrated. I support the right to protests for people to protest, but if it causes thousands of people disturbance, it isn't the right way to go about. Okay, CHP arrested 26 protesters, allowing the bridge to reopen by 12:15 p.m. Again, let's start at what 7:55. Oh no, roughly around 7:55. I'm gonna go. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 hours. Well, 3 hours. See, I told you I was right. 3 hours. All right. Southbound I-880 closed at 8:15 a.m. as hundreds of protesters made their way onto the highway with banners. The Third Bay Area protest was at 7th Street in West Oakland. Chief Goodbrand said there were 300 protesters. You know, another way you could handle this is just go like, look, if people are protesting and blocking your way, you can just keep driving. Just smash them. Like, that's a good way to end this. Like, that's what these cops think. It's like, look, if there's a protest and they're blocking your traffic, preventing you from getting home or getting to work, they're essentially holding you hostage, false imprisoning you. You have every right to just keep driving and smash their vehicles, run over some protesters. All right, that's what we need to do. Okay, again, this is just for the people that do pop-up protests that closed highways and bridges and stuff. Okay, that's all I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about all protesters, just these specific ones designed to prevent people from going anywhere because they're stuck on the highway. That's all I'm talking about. Chief Goodbrand said there were 300 protesters. ABC News was there when CHP officers slowly walked the protesters off the highway down the on-ramp. Sky 7 showed some protesters being detained by police. The CHP confirmed 5 protesters from this group were arrested. All of them should have been arrested. One protester said this is about drawing attention to the war in Gaza. Look, no one is not aware of the goddamn Gaza and Israel conflict. No one's not aware except some dumb hoes that don't think they haven't heard of this. Okay, that's like it. You don't need any awareness. Okay, it's so dumb. Like no one needs to be aware. Like have brought any awareness. Like, so bring awareness. We're all aware of it. We're all aware. Okay, this isn't something that's hidden. All right, we're all aware of it. All right, you're doing nothing, just pissing people off. That's all you're doing. All right. Push our local and federal officials to call for a permanent ceasefire. Guess what? Even if they call for one, Israel's not going to fucking do it. Okay, they don't give a shit. They also want American tax dollars to stop funding support to Israel. I agree, but guess what? Politicians aren't going to give a shit what happens in California. Go to DC, protest them, disrupt them. That's what you need to do. Okay. I'm very sorry for the people that were being killed because we decided to support a system that is absolutely wrong. We cannot provide guns to someone to kill children, period. What the fuck? This makes no sense. Whatever, dude. That's it. All right, that's all I'm going to go. Okay. It's just dumb. Dumb, dumb, dummy, dummy, dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. All right. Oh shit. It's getting a little chilly. Need to turn on my heat again. Okay. All right. So GOP. So Johnson makes his long-awaited move on Ukraine as House plans to vote on separate aid packages. All right. Speaker Mike Johnson announced Monday evening the House will take up separate bills this week to provide aid for Israel and Ukraine. Heating demands from the far right to keep the issue separate as a threat of as the threat of a vote to oust him from speakership looms. The long-awaited decision by Johnson marks a pivotal moment for the Louisiana Republican as he faces intense pressure from his conference over how he would handle foreign aid to the key U.S. allies. Johnson predicted the House will vote Friday evening on the separate bills. There are precipitating events around the globe that we are all watching very carefully, Johnson told reporters after a GOP conference meeting Monday evening. And we know that the world is watching us to see how we react. Despite the speaker's attempt to thread the needle, however, GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who continued to dangle the threat of a vote on Johnson's ouster, was quick to criticize the foreign aid plan. I'm firmly against the plan as it stands right now, Greene told reporters, though when asked whether she would force a vote on the motion to vacate as a result, she said, "I haven't decided on that yet." Johnson dismissed concerns over a vote to oust him by his conservative flanks if he moves on aid to Ukraine, telling CNN, "I don't have to spend my time worrying about motions to vacate. We have to govern here, and we're going to do our job." In addition to aid for Israel and Ukraine, Johnson said in a post on X that the bills would support allies in the Indo-Pacific and there would be additional measures to counter our adversaries and strengthen our national security. Fuck. But Republican leaders could still take procedural steps to send all those pieces as one package to the Senate, which could enrage the right wing of House GOP conference. Johnson left open the possibility that the bills could ultimately be packaged together, setting up a potential fight with the right flank. We're discussing whether they would be merged together in one package that's sent to the Senate or if it goes as an individual measure. My personal preference is to do it individually, but we'll let the body decide. Arizona Representative Annie Biggs, a hardline conservative who had initially expressed support of Johnson's approach to foreign aid, pushes back on the possibility of merging the bills. Israel's funding should not be held hostage by Ukraine funding. The American people deserve to know where their senators stand on each funding component, he wrote on social media. Among the ways the GOP leaders plan to address Ukraine aid, a bill to seize Russian assets, a lend-lease program for Ukraine military aid, and a convertible loans for humanitarian relief. Former President Donald Trump, who recently met with House Speaker Mike Johnson at Mar-a-Lago, has expressed openness to structuring Ukraine aid as a loan. Now, I can agree with this because then we'll get our fucking money back instead of just sending the money and watching President Zelensky just jack off on it. Like, seriously, at least as a loan, we could potentially get some money back. We'll have some return on our investment. So I'm down for that. I don't think we should be giving money to Ukraine regardless, but if they're going to end up doing it, at least do it as a loan so we get our money back. Same with Israel. In the wake of Iran's unprecedented retaliatory strike on Israel, Democrats have called for Johnson to bring up a Senate-passed foreign aid package that includes aid to Israel and Ukraine. But hardline conservatives have urged that the Louisiana Republican attaching Ukraine funding to any Israel aid package, a warning that comes as the speaker faces threat of a potential vote to oust him from his leadership post. Yeah, I don't think They should merge it. I think they should, send it all separately. Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries urged immediate passage of the foreign aid package passed by the Senate in a new letter to colleagues. The gravely serious events of this past weekend in the Middle East and Eastern Europe underscore the need for Congress to act immediately. We must take out the bipartisan and comprehensive national security bill passed by the Senate forthwith. In November, the House passed a bill to provide $14.3 billion in aid to Israel, but Democrats objected to the fact that the bill did not include aid to Ukraine and would enact funding cuts to the Internal Revenue Services. Senate passed its bill in February, a $95.3 billion foreign aid bill with assistance for Ukraine, Israel, and other priorities. A significant number of House Republicans are opposed to sending further aid to Ukraine. Now Johnson faces the most significant threat to his speakership to date after GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is among those who oppose additional funding aid, filed a motion against him that could be used to force a vote in his ouster. Whatever. Green told CNN on Monday that Trump's backing of Johnson during a press conference would not deter her from moving to oust the speaker. No. And as a matter of fact, there are more people that are probably going to be angry from whatever happens this week. Later, Green said he's definitely not going to be Speaker next Congress if we're lucky enough to have a majority. I think this is a widely held belief throughout the Congress. I think if he thinks he's remain Speaker for the remainder of the current session of Congress, asked if she thinks he'll remain Speaker of the remainder of the current session of Congress, the Congresswoman said this is to be determined. Like I said, I'm still processing. Johnson called Green's decision to file the motion to vacate a distraction during an interview. That's a distraction. What Marjorie has done with the motion to vacate is not helpful for our party, for our mission to save the country, because if we don't grow the House majority, keep the House majority, win the Senate, win back the White House for President Trump, we're going to lose the Republic. So there we go. Let's see. Okay. All right. I had something else on the off chance there's more information. Doesn't look like it, so we'll move on from there. All right. So, Supreme Court made a very important decision this week. Well, yesterday, I guess. Ugh. Supreme Court permits Idaho to enforce ban on gender affirming care for minors. There we go. Supreme Court saying, hey, can't keep brainwashing these poor kids. The Supreme Court on Monday allowed Idaho officials to temporarily enforce a strict statewide ban on gender affirming care for most minors in one of the first such cases to reach the nation's highest court. In an emergency request filed on February, Idaho asked justice to block a lower court's order that halted implementation of the law. Signed by Republican Governor Brad Little last year, the law makes it a felony to provide medical treatment such as puberty blocking drugs. Hold hormonal therapy, and certain surgeries to transgender minors. Brainwash kids is what should actually be said. The higher court's decision, which came over the dissent of liberal justices, of course, doesn't resolve the underlying legal challenges raised by the case, but instead allows the state to enforce the law against most people while the lower courts resolve those questions. So basically, all this does is, yeah, you can keep the law can be enforced, but we'll wait. But it's not halting the proceedings completely. Just saying, no, lower court, you can't block it. Let this happen. Okay, law can go into effect while you guys figure out your other shit. Though there was no formal opinion from the court, as is often the case on the court's emergency docket, several justices wrote to explain their positions. The court's conservatives said the decision was intended as a signal to lower courts to limit how far they rule when they are temporarily blocking the state from enforcing a law. Justice Neil Gorsuch, in an opinion joined by Justice Claire Thomas and Samuel Alito, noted that the lower court that reviewed the Idaho law didn't just block it for the parties involved, but blocked its enforcement for everyone in the state. That, they said, represented an overreach by the court. A return to more piecemeal and deliberative judicial processes may strike some as inefficient. It may promise less power for the judges, less drama and excitement for the parties and public, Gorsuch wrote. But if any of that makes today's decision wrong, it makes it wrong in the best way possible. The move drew a sharp dissent from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. This is the same chick that only reason she's on the court is because she's black and female, and couldn't define a woman. So it doesn't surprise me here. Who describes the majority decision as a micromanaging lower court exercise of the discretional authority. Jackson, in an opinion joined by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who's apparently the most dumbest justice in the history, according to my favorite lawyer, Ricardo Law, noted that a lower federal court determined that a never before in effect Idaho law is likely unconstitutional, and that court temporarily blocked the law's enforcement it considers legal challenge involved. How is it unconstitutional to prevent? Okay, someone's got to explain this to me. How is it unconstitutional to block providing medical treatments such as puberty blocking drugs, hormonal therapy, and certain surgeries to transgender minors? Okay, I really don't understand this. And again, this is for most minors, so it's not every minor. So there are exceptions to the law. So I don't understand how this is unconstitutional. The court is not compelled to rise and respond every time an applicant rushes to us with an alleged emergency, and it is essentially important for us to refrain from doing so in a novel, high charts, and unsettled circumstance. The justices have for weeks been considering 3 merit appeals over similar laws in Tennessee and Kentucky. An Indiana ban on transitioning care for minors was allowed to take effect in late February by an appeals court in Chicago. Idaho, which is being represented in part by conservative legal group Alliance Defending Freedom, argues that the lower court decision to block the law were too broad because they swept in procedures banned under the act that the plaintiffs did not seek to continue. Every day the law is blocked, exposing vulnerable children to risky and dangerous medical procedures. It infringes Idaho's sovereign power to enforce its democratic enacted law, the state told Supreme Court in its filing. Attorneys for transgender teenagers and the parents who are challenging the state law has asked the court to turn down the request from Republican State Attorney General Raul Labrador, saying that for both minor plaintiffs, gender-affirming care has drastically alleviated their gender dysphoria and has enabled them to become healthy, thriving teenagers. You know what would probably be better for them and probably lower the risk of suicidality is for them to be in therapy and learning to accept that what they are is what they are. No medical procedures it's going to change that. Labrador said said a statement that the state has a duty to protect and support all children, and that's why I'm proud to defend Idaho's law that ensures children are not subject to these life-altering drugs and procedures that are generally not reversible. The American Civil Liberties Union and the ACLU of Idaho have represented the two families who sued over the law, describing the court decision as an awful result for trans youth and their families. Sorry that you're not able to brainwash your kids. Sorry. The rulings, the group said in a statement, allow the state to shut down the care that thousands of families rely on solely on while sowing further confusion and disruption. Why don't you just put the kids in therapy and help them realize, hey, no matter what you do, you're still a dude, chick, whatever. That seems far better. All right. Whew. We're getting to the end, people. We're getting to the end. We're almost there. I can see the light. I can see the light. Ooh, ooh. All right. So, as you guys know, if you guys remember, I didn't cover this. So it didn't really interest me, but I wanted to watch at least their sentencing. There was an individual that was shot during a film by Alec Baldwin. He's currently dealing with his case. The armorer, the person in charge of ensuring all the weapons are safe and everything, was sentenced for was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. I didn't watch that case or anything, so I don't know what happened, but she was found guilty. Okay, so this was the sentencing. So let's listen to this.
I did not hear you take accountability in your allocution. You said you were sorry. You were sorry, but not you were sorry for what you did. You were sorry for and hope they can find peace. It was your attorney that had to tell the court that you were remorseful. The word remorse, a deep regret.
Now, I don't like this because for the most part, when someone you're asking for them to be remorseful, you're asking them to admit guilt, but they are still presumably admit being at fault and shit like that. Okay, you're asking them to be more remorseful. They're trying to say that, hey, you're at guilt, so therefore this is why you need to be remorseful of your actions. But if you're saying, hey, I'm not guilty and I'm maintaining my innocence, then why the fuck would you be remorseful? Because that's kind of a sign, especially if you're going to make an appeal, that you believe that you're actually guilty. That's how I see it, at least. Like, this whole you need to be more remorseful, but I'm maintaining my innocence. So why should I be remorseful if I'm maintaining that I'm innocent of what you're charging me with? Doesn't make sense to me.
Coming from a sense of guilt for past wrongs.
Yeah,
that's not you.
So again, I don't like these fucking judges saying you need to feel remorseful for me to believe you type shit. But I'm maintaining my innocence.
You're hereby sentenced as follows. Stand. I am sentencing you to 18 months of incarceration at a New Mexico Women's Correctional Facility. I find that what you did constitutes a serious violent offense. It was committed in a physically violent manner, a fatal gunshot done with your recklessness in the face of knowledge that your acts were reasonably likely to result in serious harm.
Now, let me make it clear. I think the bitch is guilty too. She was in charge of, I think Alec Baldwin is guilty too. But she was in charge of ensuring that all the weapons were safe. But she was in charge to make sure all the weapons are safe and everything was good to go and all that shit. She was in charge of that. Okay. And she failed to do so. So I think the bitch is guilty too of involuntary manslaughter. But I have an issue with this whole you need to feel remorseful type shit, but I'm maintaining my innocence. It doesn't make sense to me.
You were the armorer, the one that stood between a safe weapon and a weapon that could kill someone. You alone turned a safe weapon into a lethal weapon.
Oh, that's it? Okay. So there we go. So that's the end of it. She's scoring her. You're terrible. You're evil. Blah 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 blah. I really hate some of these judges because they always seem to be like all like high and mighty and shit like that, and it just irks me. It just annoys the ever living shit out of me. Okay, stop with the high and mighty dance. Okay. Just lay down, like they're always just like, droning on and on. Just lay down the goddamn sentencing. Like, yeah, like, all right. After hearing all, statement stuff, I think we're still going to go forth. Your sentences of this. Bye. Stop wasting our time. Come on. All right. There we go. So those were the end of my plans. So we're gonna let's see if there's anything interesting in this particular thing. All right. So we got a little bit of time. Okay. Because I'm trying to shoot for at least an hour and a half of show. So I think I got a little bit more time. So we're going to check this out. The story here of Republicans pressuring Biden DOJ to probe activists calling for death to America. Seems like a reasonable thing to probe for. The White House condemned the comments of activist Tariq. But stopped short of saying it would take any action. Oh, it won't. Due to Muslim, probably. I'm assuming. I have no idea, but that's probably why they won't take any action. Seems to be the case every single fucking time. Let's see. A coalition of 5 Michigan Republicans is calling on the Department of Justice to investigate anti-Israeli activists who have chanted "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." Sorry. To Israel, during recent rallies, led by John Mulinar, Republican of Michigan. The GOP lawmakers penned a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland characterizing chants as anti-American and anti-Semitic, and arguing they constitute an incitement of violence and are not protected speech and pose a threat to public safety. I disagree. I think "Death to America" is protected speech. Okay, unless because I don't think it's a direct incitement, and so just saying "Death to America" I don't think that's a direct incitement. Now, if they're saying "you go kill America right now," that's an incitement to violence. I don't agree that it's a direct incitement. I do agree with saying, hey, let's look into these people because they are calling for the death of America. Let's look into them for us, as far as we can legally go. But I disagree that it's not protected speech. Through they also said the chant evidence terrorist sympathies remain prevalent among certain activist groups. Throughout, though purportedly held to express support for the Palestine cause, these events were instead platforms for inciting terrorism and violence. Mulinar and the other Republicans wrote, repeatedly, we have witnessed in the past several months the harassment and physical assault directed at innocent Americans during and immediately following these events. As defenders of the Constitution of the United States against enemies both foreign and domestic, and as staunch supporters of Israel, we are alarmed by the increasing calls to violence against anyone not espousing their radical agenda, the letter to Garland continued. The group, which in addition to Mulinar, includes Representatives Tim Walberg, Jack Bergman, Lisa McLean, and John James, concluded their letter by imploring the DOJ to take swift and decisive actions to investigate and prosecute the people spearheading such calls for violence and death to America chant. Their letter comes less than 2 weeks after a video curtailing online showed protesters at the All Quads Day rally in Dearborn, Michigan, chanting "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." All Quads Day is an annual event commemorating the conclusion of Islamic's holy month of Ramadan in support of Palestinians and in opposition of Israel. Activist Tariq Bazin began the Dearborn event by asking the crowd to pray for the victory of the resistance and referred to the resistance fighters who engaged in battles with this godless satanic cancer that is called Israel, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Another activist displayed an image of Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini, while others crowd sign has messages like the Zionist entity has no right to exist. The Anti-Defamation League further reported that the similar events were held in New York City and Al Quad State, and like the Dearborn rally, attract large crowds and include the use of violent rhetoric by speakers and attendees. We urge to take decisive actions to prosecute those calling for the death to America and to uphold the principle of justice and freedom that defy our nation by defending it, the letter to Garland concluded. Now it is time to take action to ensure the safety and security of all Americans. White House or the DOJ did not respond. Doesn't surprise me. They never respond immediately. Let's check this out. I got another thing we're going to read, but let's check this out real quick. So this is Kirsten Dunst. If you ever watched Spider-Man, she was Mary Jane. She's upset because apparently she didn't get paid as much as, Spider-Man. Doesn't really surprise me. Okay. You're not Spider-Man. You don't get to be paid as much.
Hopefully the way I carve my path will help other, actresses. But I definitely grew up in a time with major pay disparity between the lead actor and myself, even though I had been in Bring It On and he hadn't. You know what I mean?
So who the fuck cares about Bring It On? Like, what is this crap? I was in Bring It On and he had it. So he's Spider-Man. All right, let's look at the accolades. Toby McGuire. Let's just see. All right. Filmography. All right, let's check out. Let's see. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, so he was in 16 films prior to being in Spider-Man. All right. Now let's see. Dunst. Now maybe she was in more films, but again, isn't going to really defeat my point, because my point is you weren't the lead character. You were the side character. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So she was in 28. So could have been an argument that she should make more. But it could have been an argument made for that. But here is the thing. Is she wasn't the lead person. Now, I went and did that because 99% of the time, when you look at this shit, it's always the same thing, that the person the person complaining doesn't have as much accolades as the person. Now, in this case, it was wrong. I was wrong. But again, it doesn't really defeat the point. My point, really, because It was, and it also just depends too. I think in all those films, or a majority of those films, she wasn't the lead person. She was the side person. And the same was with Spider-Man was. She wasn't the main person. She was just the side.
I had more success in my box office than he did. And I was 17. I'm still learning. You know, when you're that age, I'm still learning my taste in film.
Yeah, you're 17. You're young. Yeah, got it. We're all, yep. But the thing is you weren't the lead. That's the thing, is you weren't the lead. You were the side. Okay? The side always gets paid less than the lead. And you know what's funny? She doesn't really say how much she was paid for Spider-Man.
Even think to ask. I didn't even know there was a place to challenge it. That's how it felt at 17. Hopefully.
She also didn't ask. So Tobey Maguire was paid $4 million, and Spider-Man and she okay. Okay, hold on. So he was paid $4 million. It's interesting. You're able to easily see how much she made. And but you can't really, like, I typed in Tobey Maguire, how much was Tobey Maguire paid for Spider-Man? Instant. $4 million, okay? For Spider-Man. Well, now when you type in how much was Kirsten Dunst paid in Spider-Man, doesn't come up. All you get for money is $2.5 billion, but that's talking about the trilogy itself. Why don't you tell us how much you were paid so I can say how much, was this really an extreme pay gap? I don't think it was, maybe more than likely. But again, even if it was, he was the lead, you weren't. Yeah, I'm paying less. You weren't the lead. And again, tell us how much you were paid. Let us determine that. And again, you had more accolades. You probably could have argued for a higher wage. You probably still wouldn't get paid as much as him because he was the lead. He had more lines. He had more screen time. Okay. Because the movie solely focused on Tobey Maguire. It's a Spider-Man. So, of course, he was paid more. I'm all right. I think I'm done for the day. I was going to talk about Bill Maher roasting liberals, but basically it was Bill Maher roasting sanctuary cities who were starting to turn away migrants after DeSantis and Abbott called their bluff and started sending migrants their way, which is fucking hilarious. I've covered that for the most part, so I don't think it's really important for me to cover it right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys will like and subscribe. Give me a follow. Give me a like. Make me feel important. Okay? Make me feel important. See, I got anything else? I don't think I got anything else. Hope you guys will like the video. Give me a like and a subscription. Make me feel important. Okay? Make me feel important. Please. No. I got anything else? No. Just like the video. Follow me, like me, love me. I hope you have a good day. Peace out. and we will see you later. Peace.